my friends, I'm Duchess and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be giving you some tips on how to render characters and backgrounds for your webtoon. This topic was a requested topic. Feel free to comment down below if you would like to know more or if you'd like me to make a video about something related to art or webtoons. I really appreciate it and thank you again for requesting this. Let's get started. For this topic, I did some research and made many observations and found a few things to focus on while rendering characters and backgrounds. Sometimes when you're reading a webtoon or comic, you may come across art that doesn't quite match up. The character just looks out of place in the background because the shading is wrong or the lighting is off. Before we get into the rendering part, I wanted to mention something that might make your backgrounds and characters look odd. First, you want to make sure you use the same art style. It doesn't match well if your characters are super detailed and drawn semi-realistically if your background is very cartoon-like. I have done this myself and I still do once in a while, mainly because I'm not the best at making very detailed backgrounds. I'm still learning and improving every day, so as long as you keep at it and you keep improving, it's fine, you'll get there. For shading and rendering, I think it's important to shade the backgrounds and the characters with colors that are similar in saturation and hue. Saturation is the brightness or richness of a color, and hue is basically the color. Say it's nighttime, so the moon is out and there's a character here. The background is dark, right? If you shade the character with a pink color and the lighting on the character is yellow, then it doesn't match. The colors on the character are much brighter and the hues just don't match with the darkness of the background. Now, if you were to use a darker purplish color to shade and a whiter color for the lighting, then it matches better. This is because, it's dark, so the light source would be like a lamppost, some sort of light, artificial light, or the moonlight. And right now the background is outside, this is taking place outside, so the moonlight would be white. So if the light on the character is white and it's dark outside, so the shading is a darker color, then it kind of matches with the background because the environment matches with the character, if that makes sense. For night drawings, I actually also use the adjustments tool, which is the second button on the top left. I select hue, saturation, and brightness, which is the first button, and I adjust the saturation and brightness to my liking. I think this helps a bit when you're trying to make the backgrounds and characters match, especially if you don't really know how to select colors that would match with the nighttime drawing. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but for me, I'm not the best with colors, so I just color regularly, and if it's nighttime, I just adjust the brightness and the saturation so that the character's colors change to match the background. Now let's add some items into our drawing here. When you're shading, it's important to be aware of the lighting in the room. Is the light coming from an open window? Is it coming from the side? You, as the artist, can decide wherever the light source is. When you're shading, it's important to be aware of the lighting in the room. Is the light coming from an open window? Is it coming from the side? You as the artist can decide wherever the light source is. As you are shading, you need to remember where your light source is. You can't shade the characters one way and then shade the background another way. Let me show you some mix and match shading. Alright, so something here is clearly off. The background is totally out of place, and that's because the light is hitting the items in the background differently from the characters in the foreground. Now, if we focus on the light source and shade and add light in the same way and direction, the drawing will look much nicer and it will match well. I also wanted to add that you should probably study and observe shadows a bit just so you understand the very basics of it. I think it'd be hard to shade or add light if you don't really know where the shadows go. I'm also still learning how to shade more and how to shade better, so don't worry too much about it. Just keep it in mind and improve as you go. I didn't have too much to say about shading and rendering characters and backgrounds, but this is what I had to say about it. I hope that I was able to give you some good advice and that this information was at least a tiny bit helpful to you. That is all I have for you guys this week. If you enjoyed this week's video or learned something new, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get notified. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next week.